Fortnite is basically on every platform now after it arrived on the Nintendo Switch last week. Switch gamers can play in matches with Xbox gamers, but unfortunately not with PS4 gamers. And the reason? Well, apparently it's all about the money.
A former president of Sony Online Entertainment has explained why it is that Sony won't allow cross-platform play between the PS4 and other consoles like the Nintendo Switch or the Microsoft Xbox One. John Smedley, who's currently working at Daybreak Games, took to Twitter to tell PS4 Fortnite fans the most likely reason they can't play with friends on other consoles and why they can't migrate their accounts to the Nintendo Switch. Here's what he wrote. "When I was at Sony, the stated reason internally for this was money. They didn't like someone buying something on an Xbox and it being used on a PlayStation. Simple as that. Dumb reason, but there it is." Interestingly though, he did also say that, quote, "If we keep the pressure up, this problem goes away." Now Smedley was replying there to a tweet from Kinda Funny Games' Greg Miller, who'd earlier said, "Today, I bought a Fortnite Battle Pass on my Nintendo Switch. I linked my Twitch Prime and my Xbox Live to this account. This makes my throwaway Epic Games account my main account. I don't understand your strategy, PlayStation."
As Mr. PlayStation Greg Miller's just pointed out there, thanks to Sony's own policy, he's now being encouraged to put his money into the Nintendo Switch version over the PlayStation version of the game. Fortnite is the latest and easily most popular game to be blocked for crossplay by Sony. Rocket League was another title that was refused permission for crossplay on the PS4 as well as Minecraft. The problem in Fortnite's case is massively exacerbated by the fact it's a free, accounts-driven game where players have subscriptions and purchases they've spent actual money on.
I do feel like that this is going to go somewhere. I do think that Sony might actually change their mind on this because there's so much pressure. Fortnite's a massive game, 125 million players. You know, that Greg Miller tweet there, you know, he's just like a big PlayStation fan. He's famously a PlayStation fan. That's what he's built his career on pretty much. And he's there complaining about the fact that he's already got a Fortnite PlayStation account. He's got a subscription on there. But now thanks to PlayStation and Sony's attitude and what they've kind of encouraged him to do as a PlayStation fan is spend money on the Nintendo eShop. How does that benefit Sony? That's what's kind of baffling about all this. And it just sees like they're behind the times, big style compared to the others. And it's great that you can cross-play with other platforms. Hopefully, Sony will see sense soon.
I think we always say that cross-play between platforms is a great thing for gamers who want to play with other friends, for example, who might play on a different console. If they're locking people out from playing with their friends just because they're on a different, that's not consumer friendly at all. But PlayStation are doing this for financial reasons, according to this guy, which kind of makes sense, right? But that's Greg Miller's putting out there. They're missing out on his his financials there. He's putting money into the Switch version of it because he wants like skins and whatever on a Switch version. He could be spending that on the PlayStation Store if they'd just been a bit more amenable to it. And what he's saying here with regards to keep the pressure up and this problem goes away. Definitely, we need to do that, and this is why we're doing this video. I guess it's like we're fighting for the cause. We're fighting for people's desires to be able to play crossplay and for the consumer-friendly thing. Because the more that the PlayStation and Sony see these negative headlines about them, like questioning why the hell are you doing this, Sony? It's all about the money, whatever. The more they see that, the more pressure mounts for them, and eventually they've either got to give in or just be known as the bad guys in the industry, which nobody wants. That's a PR disaster, so there's a fine line. So I'm interested to see where the point of critical mass is for Sony. Like how far would they allow, how many bad articles would allow to be written about them before they actually give in and allow crossplay? Because it will happen, but it's just a matter of time.
And also in the news this week, according to an annual report from the Nielsen data company, 2/3 of console gamers still prefer physical copies of their video games over digital. Nielsen asked players over the age of 13 about their gaming habits, and 66% said they preferred physical games, compared with 29% of players on the PC. Interestingly, Nielsen found that on both console and PC, the players that preferred digital copies tended to spend more time per week playing games, with digital console players averaging 6.4 hours and digital PC players averaging 7.6. However, those that preferred physical games actually tended to spend more money per month on their video games. So that just gives you a little insight into the buying habits of gamers and stuff these days. I'm quite surprised that 66% still prefer physical, although physical is obviously a bigger thing on console, isn't it? And it makes more sense that PC gamers, that number is much less so. Although 29%, that's really high. I thought it would be like 1 to 5% of PC gamers still preferring physical. So people still want their physical copies. So,
there's pros and cons for both methods. Obviously, digital is more accessible. You can download and play them straight away. Whereas physical, the benefits of that of a physical copy is that you can just trade it with your friends.
It holds value, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It holds value. You can resell it and stuff, as well as like the online problem where all games are online. You have to be connected these days. Whereas if you've got a physical copy of a game, it's more likely to just like put it in and play it and not have to worry about the network being down and all that kind of nonsense that you associate with online services and shit like that. So pros and cons for both. I mean, I prefer physical, I think. Digital, I don't know, I'm coming around, I guess.
Depends on the game for me. So it's like I'll have a digital type of game in my mind, which will be a shooter, an online game or something. I prefer a digital one because I'll just dip in and out of it. And a physical game is something big, AAA, something like Far Cry 5, God of War, something. Yeah. Maybe that I can sell or whatever after I'm done with it.
Gaming addiction is now classified as a medical disorder by the World Health Organization. The WHO included the new disorder in its latest edition of the Internal Classification of Diseases on Monday. And here's how they described it. Characterized by a pattern of persistent or recurring gaming behavior, which may be online or offline, manifested by, number 1, impaired control over gaming, for example, onset, frequency, intensity, duration, termination, context. Number 2, increasing priority given to gaming to the extent that gaming takes precedence over other life interests and daily activities. And number 3, continuation or escalation of gaming despite the occurrences of negative consequences. The WHO say that behavior and other features should be evident over a period of at least 12 months in order for a diagnosis to be made.
As a result of this new classification, the UK's Daily Telegraph helpfully points out that, quote, children hooked on addictive video games like Fortnite will be able to seek treatment on the NHS. Governments around the world will now also be expected to include provision for gaming disorder into their health systems. The UK Department of Health and Social Care told Eurogamer that it welcomes the news and that, quotes, very large numbers of people play games on and offline. For the vast majority, it is a recreational activity, but research shows that for a small number, their gaming can become harmful or an addiction. But the gaming disorder classification has been met with fierce resistance from the games industry, as you might expect, with a joint statement co-signed by, here we go, UKI, ESA, EGDF, IESA, ESAC, IGEA, ISFE, K Games and UBV&G. Here's an excerpt from that statement. Video games across all kinds of genres, devices and platforms are enjoyed safely and sensibly by more than 2 billion people worldwide, with the educational, therapeutic and recreational value of games being well-founded and widely recognised. We are therefore concerned to see gaming disorder still contained in the latest version of the WHO's ICD-11, despite significant opposition from the medical and scientific community. The evidence for its inclusion remains highly contested and inconclusive, which is exactly what you'd expect the games industry to say. This is a really interesting topic of discussion at the moment, I think, because the WHO must have a reason for doing it, but it seems absolutely daft to me. There's a huge debate coming around, building up around this because of Fortnite, basically, because of how popular and big Fortnite is, and there's so many kids playing it, and they play it, so much as well, that it's just, it's kind of in people's minds. It kind of reminds you of GTA and stuff like that, and maybe even COD Modern Warfare or something, when there was just loads of people playing it, and therefore it was just in the public consciousness. So then this is just kind of just come at the right time for that. It's like a perfect storm of this kind of stuff, and the UK press are kind of going nuts with it, telling you that finally you can take your sick, disturbed kids to the NHS and get some help thanks to the WHO. I think my one concern is that the industry sounds a bit like, I don't know, like the tobacco industry in the 30s or something, or in the 60s or something, where they're kind of irrationally going, no, this is bollocks, this is bollocks. You want to fight it effectively, I think, you've got to be sensible about it. You've
got to look at the issues and think critically about what they're saying. I believe, this is my personal opinion, I believe that you could be addicted to things like gaming, and I don't think that it's necessarily gaming that causes addiction. I think that people of addictive kind of personality would become addicted to gaming in the same way that they might do addicted to playing on the phone or just like other mediums of entertainment as well.
Online addiction is a well documented thing, isn't it? You're hooked on social media and stuff.
But the way that this is done, right, in the WHO, and the way they're saying it's online gaming addiction, they're not saying that your phone you can be addicted to your phone, or you can be addicted to YouTube, or you can be addicted to, there's all these other things that can be addicted, and what this is doing is villainizing the gaming industry again. This is why you're getting the backlash, because you see the likes of the British press come up with these gaming can be addictive, run for the hills, your kids, protect your kids and all that bullshit, like clickbaity type of things.
Yeah. There's one really good program from the BBC, and it's good because it's completely neutral. And there was an episode of Horizon a couple of years ago, and it was like, is gaming that bad, really that bad, or something like that. It was from a pretty neutral perspective. It was a good documentary. So if you're interested in this kind of thing, you're interested in where this is going, I'd recommend watching that if you can find it on YouTube, or maybe it's on BBC iPlayer or something. Yeah. It's going to be a big fight because the industry, is a big, powerful industry. It's like the NFL or something with concussion, like with the tobacco industry in America, like with oil companies and stuff. This is going to become a fight of industry versus the government organisation that wants to look after people's health and stuff. So it's going to be a big argument. I think I know where a lot of viewers are going to be lying on it, and I'm with you. It does seem a bit much.
Yeah,
to me,
it does seem over the top.
But maybe there is a problem as well. Like there's got to be some kind of ground in the middle there. The middle ground, you might call it.
Yeah. So where do you stand on the whole gaming addiction thing? Let us know down in the comments below. Like the video if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new around here. Check out more of our content on your screen there. And support us on Patreon using that link there. We'll see you again in the next video. Until then, bye for now.